Okay. So you'll see at the very top of the paper, the first line, it says an equation in the form of f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c is called a quadratic. The graph of a quadratic is a parabola. So in a quadratic equation, you'll know it's quadratic because the highest power is 2. So you'll notice right after the equal sign, it says ax squared. So you know that the highest power is 2, and that's a quadratic equation. Okay. And whenever you have a quadratic equation, you're going to get a parabola shape, which I also refer to as a U shape. The second line says a basic quadratic is f of x equals x squared. And below I have the picture for that. It's really important that you kind of drill this foundational picture into your head, because this is going to help us today, and it'll help us also on Monday when we learn a different way of graphing quadratics. Today when we work with quadratics, you're going to distinctly see the three terms of x squared, x, and then a constant added at the end. On Monday when we look at quadratics, you won't see those distinct terms as well. Okay. So looking at the graph, you're going to notice that for the basic graph of a parabola, that its vertex, or the bottom point of the U, is at the ordered pair 0, 0. The next thing, if I were to trace this from 0, 0, you would notice another point that's pretty easy to locate is the point 1, 1. And so that is an ordered pair of this very basic parabola 1, 1. And directly to the left of it is also the ordered pair -1, +1. If we glance a little further to the right, another ordered pair that appears is the ordered pair 2, 4. And to the left of that is the ordered pair -2, +4. So you're going to notice symmetry going on. And if you've ever had an art class, you've probably heard about a line of symmetry. Okay, and so we can actually put a vertical line down in between our two sides of our parabola, and that I'm dotting just so it shows up. In graphing, sometimes it'll ask you to put in the axis of symmetry, and the axis of symmetry goes straight down the middle. It's always shown with a dashed line, and it always goes through your vertex, because that's where the symmetry would occur. Okay. So that's kind of the foundation of what we're working with today. And what happens as we progress is that shape in general moves either to the right, left, maybe down or up. And the other thing that can happen is that parabola shape, which is a U shape, can either open up like it is right now, or it can open down when it has a negative value in front of x squared. The U shape can also be really wide, or it can be really narrow. And usually you determine if it is wide or narrow by looking at a table of values to help you out. Okay, let's take a look at this next section. So leading coefficient. In the quadratic function f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, the leading coefficient of the quadratic is the coefficient in front of x squared, and it's always known as the letter a. Okay, if you ever had to use a quadratic formula at some point in your life, you probably remember that the quadratic formula had an a, b, and c in it because it comes from these equations. So the number in front of x squared is always the letter a. If a is negative, the parabola will open down. So just put a quick sketch in there of a parabola that opens down. And that's if a is negative. So an example might be if a is -1 or if a is -3. Anytime a is negative, your parabola will open down. If a is positive, the parabola will open up, like the first picture that I had on the graph. So examples of that would be if a is +1 or if a is maybe +4. A can also be fractions, just to let you know. So in the next section, it's being connected to that leading coefficient. It says identify the values of a, b, and c in the function below. And as we do that, I'm going to have us state which direction this will open. So in number 1, it reads f of x equals 2x squared minus 4x plus 8. The number in front of x squared is a, so we know that a equals 2. The number in front of x is always going to be the b value, so b equals -4. And the number at the very end that's added on as a constant is your c value, so it's 8. Out of all of these values, a, b, and c, it's only the a value that decides if this opens up or down. And we can see a is positive, so we know that our graph is going to be a parabola opening up, simply because a is positive. In number 2, it reads g of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 1. What is the a value? Good, it's a silent 1. So a is 1, and that will tell me that my graph will open up or down. Yeah, up because it's positive. All right. Now our b value is the value found in front of x, so it's 5. And our c value is the constant at the end, which is 1. Moving on to problem 3, we have f of x equals -x squared plus 2. What is the a value? It is -1, and because it's negative, the parabola will do what? Yep, opens down. Very good. In this particular function, you may have noticed that there's only 2 terms. There's no x term. And so that tells us that the b value is 0. There is no x term. Our c value is 2. So that process is identifying the values of a, b, and c and determining which way our graph will go.